Welcome back to the shop, everyone. Today's build, I will be fabricating some tool rests for an old Craftsman grinder. Because of COVID-19, I lost access to the makerspace, and I am furloughed from my job, so I don't have access to a machine shop. I don't have access to a mill. I don't have access to a cutting torch. I don't have access to a plasma cutter. I don't got nothing. But here's what I do have. I've got a Harbor Freight bandsaw. I've got an old Craftsman jigsaw from the 80s I got when I was about 21 or so years old. I've got a file, I got an angle grinder, and luckily I got a welder. This is an idea I've got to use this packing tape here to do the layout, because this black marker does not show up well on hot rolled steel. Seems to work pretty good with this tape though. And it looks like this packing tape here is doing a real nice job of holding the outline even when I wipe the oil off of it. Not wiping it real hard, but let's get a little more oil off of it. I'm going to make those lines a little bit deeper. I've got this new, well, at least it's new to me. I don't know how long they've been out. This ink saw from Milwaukee. Not sponsored. This is supposedly supposed to write through sawdust and oil and everything else. Give me a chance to test this at the same time. Yeah, by God, they're not kidding. It writes through oil. That is pretty cool stuff. Just want to highlight these lines a little bit more. Alright, seems like that works pretty good. Now I gotta take it over to the bandsaw and start cutting. Try some of this anchor lube here. A little too much. Just wanted to show you this for some of you who might be beginners out there. It's really important when you're going to cut a curve on a bandsaw. It's important with wood, but it's especially important with metal that you put kerfs in here. These are for relief, so when you come around with the saw blade, these little chunks break off, so the saw blade does not get bound up and the blade comes off your saw and bad things happen. Well, these two pieces are the adjustment for the tool rest, so I need to remove this material here, and obviously I can't get in there with anything else, so I'm going to use this jigsaw. Problem is I forgot to leave this whole thing together, so there's no way I can hold this down and put the jigsaw in there. There's not enough room to do it, so what I'm going to need to do is weld a couple pieces of metal to these spots, one there and one there, and hopefully it'll be enough to hold this thing down so I can slice out the inside. Well, let's see if this jigsaw works. Well, seems to be okay. There's going to be a lot of grinding to do later. That is ugly. Gonna take a lot of filing to get that straight. Yikes. Looks better than it did, and at least the bolts fit. I turned the camera off. I've been filing this thing for over an hour. I don't know how the Germans do it, man. Filing, filing, filing. That's for the birds. All right, I just gotta cut out these last few pieces and we're ready to start welding. Now there is the part. They need to be ground off, made a little bit nicer. These things gotta get worked. And I do have to make an admission. I wound up making these pieces over again, because the ones I made were off by a damn mile. And this piece that goes around the wheel, the grinding wheel, was way too wide, so I had to scrap those and do them again. Sometimes that happens. Well, now I've got to take and grind all this stuff. Just go ahead and put the bolt through them so I can make them somewhat even. Well, that was a whole lot faster than the hand grinder and a file. Although I'm still going to have to file that to make it look pretty decent, but I guess it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to work. Well, I decided to make it easy on myself and just weld the nut right to that side piece there, so the only thing I need is one wrench when I adjust it. I'm going to use the TIG welder to tack this thing in place before I use the MIG welder to weld it. A lot of times when I'm using the MIG welder lately, especially with this piece, I mean, you either got to have the ground wire right on it or it just doesn't pick up ground real well, and then the wire comes out and pushes the thing around instead of welding. So I know the TIG welder will tack it up nicely. Well, here they are, for better or worse. All it's got to do now is sand them down and paint them. I won't show that on camera. Time to get this thing back together again, but before I do, remember at the beginning of the video I had that great idea to put the packing tape on the metal so I can draw the thing out and I can see it easier? Yeah, don't do that. Turns out when you cut through the metal part, the metal heats up, the adhesive melts, and then when the metal cools back down, it just concretes itself right to the metal. Super hard to get off, really bad idea. What you could do instead is just use a silver Sharpie, like this one that I forgot that I had until I opened up my toolbox and found it there. Or you could use something called Dicam that I knew I had but couldn't find it until I went into the basement, and there it was, sitting on the shelf, right at eye level. Anyway, let's get these parts put back together and get them on the grinder. Well, considering I just had rough tools to work with, I think it turned out pretty well. Seems to fit okay, everything's kind of straight. Well, it looks straight anyway. Please hit thumbs up if you got anything out of this video, and I'll see you next time.